Hello, hello, hello. This is Carib Carter, and welcome to Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. Very, very important program today because we're going to review with the Offshore Investment Oracle this article from the International Bankers Board. Let me get it right here. Privatebankerinternational.com. Fear will drive uptick in offshore investing. So let's talk to the offshore investment expert. Mike, what's your read on that?
That was a great read, Carter. Thank you for forwarding it. I mean, you're always out there finding really interesting things, new things, and cutting edge stuff. And I appreciate you sending it to me. I've actually referred to you as my clipping service a couple of times. So thank you.
I'm honored.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, it's great. I don't have time to peruse 1,000 things, and you don't really have time to peruse 1,000. But you're really good at focusing on those elements that are extremely important for an offshore investor or for somebody who's considering offshore, maybe not investment, right? Sometimes it's lifestyle or retirement, things like that. So it's not always investment, but you have a great eye for that kind of stuff, Carter. I appreciate you forwarding them to me.
Mike, it's vital to our people. It's vital to the members of the Offshore Club who, as you say, are looking at lifestyle, making a move there, but also investing. And
absolutely,
the smart money is going offshore. In my opinion, I mean, you're the expert.
Yeah.
Nobody has invested more in Central and South America over the past quarter decade than this gentleman. So he is the Offshore Investment Oracle. Mike, let me read you just the first sentence, okay? So the people put it in perspective for him. Wealth managers active in the offshore wealth management market are expecting breakneck growth, largely driven by mounting fears among high net worth investors in the year to come.
Yep.
Incredible. What have you seen? What's your take on that? What's your take on that?
Well, you're right. We've been around for 26 years, quarter of a century, right? So we've seen ups and downs in the market. We started our business in 1996. So we saw the big run up in the NASDAQ and then we saw that fall off, and we saw the big run up in real estate in 2008, and then that fell off. And so we've seen these kind of boom bust cycles a couple times now. And it's really interesting because while many people think these economic downturns are very challenging times and they are challenging times for a lot of people, we've actually found them to be fairly good times, not great, but good times, especially in this segment that the article points out, those high net worth individuals. And I'm going to change subject just for a second because it's related, but I started my very first teak plantation in Panama in 1999. And what's interesting about that is when I started to do the research back in 1998 and I was looking into it, I was really just dumbfounded by the people who own timber, not teak specifically, but timber generally, right?
Yeah.
Timber, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are the giant endowments like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, these big universities, these extremely wealthy families. Ted Turner has, millions of acres of timber. And so you just start to look at these big families, these old family offices, family money, 4 generation, 3, 4, 5 generation money. And you just see the allocations they have in timber, right? And so we looked at that and we said, my gosh, I mean, these guys are like, obviously they know something, they're doing it. And great. And so we jumped in, we planted our very first teak plantation in Panama back in 1999. And what's really cool is that I think a lot of people think, I don't have money to buy 1 million acres of timber or half of South Georgia or something, right? You don't have to. Like, we've made those kinds of investments affordable and in bite-sized pieces. I mean, we have baby teak. That's what we call our newly planted teak in Panama. We have baby teak in Panama and Nicaragua. We have it both places for about under $8,000. So all of a sudden, instead of needing to have millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars to buy 1 million acres or something, no, you can actually own a quarter acre of teak in Panama or Nicaragua for under $10,000, right? And so so now all of a sudden it's affordable. And what's really interesting about this, though, is that we just followed the high net worth individuals. What this article really talks about, and this big jump on the part of high net worth individuals, the fear of inflation, the fear of stagflation, right? I mean, stagflation
Yes.
is a weird one, right? The diminishing value of our liquid assets, our currency assets, right?
That's it.
Because
that's it.
I mean, inflation just eats that stuff away. So what holds value? Real stuff, tangible stuff. And so things like timber and real estate tend to do very, very well. So do metals. I mean, metals do well as well. And so these are the types of things that we see the high net worth individual.
And Mike, let's put in
that
perspective. That 8,000, we're talking about an $8,000 investment, folks, that in 25 years could very well likely return 10 times as much, right?
Correct. Yeah,
10
correct.
Folks, 10 times as much in 25 years on a passive investment you don't have to worry about. To me, in some ways, it's better than real estate, because let's say I invest in real estate to rent, okay? Well, I've got, nice cash flow. It's not going to be that good over 10 years, but I still have to do all the maintenance and everything. It's maintenance. You take care of maintenance of what I get, a quarter acre, right? For
quarter acre.
8,000. And I get the land, and I get the $80,000 to $90,000 return
on the first harvest, and then you replant it, and 25 years later, your kids or your grandkids get it. And we've talked a lot about teak on here, and I don't want to stay on that topic so much today.
Right.
But I just want to impart that when we follow the high net worth individuals, we're probably following a pretty good path. And so this article pointing out that a lot of them are looking at real broad international diversification, and especially diversification into hard assets like real estate. And by the way, teak timber is real estate because you own the land. I mean, you get title to the land, but you also get the harvest, right? And so this kind of international diversification is where the big money is going. I mean, the stock market's at 30, 32,000, whatever it is, right? I mean, is it going to be 50,000 or 60,000 anytime soon? I don't know. I hope so. I hope so, right? I hope so, right? But the reality is that when you have different baskets for your eggs, all of a sudden, you can really get that diversification. And that's what the big money's doing, Carter. The big money is diversifying, and they're diversifying internationally.
And and I love the headline, "Fear will drive uptick in offshore investing." That's the headline on the article, right? And then you mentioned this, folks, check out the article, privatebankerinternational.com. That chart.
That chart is great, Carter.
Stunning. Let's look at the top 4 reasons they're investing offshore. 21% because of market instability. They know what goes up must come down. 18% currency instability. They know the dollar is not, right now the dollar is doing well, but it's not healthy. We tried to destroy the ruble, and it now has gained more than the dollar over the past year. So the third, 15% political instability. No country in the world has as much political instability as the U.S. right now. It just doesn't. And the fourth is taxes. 12% say, I got to get my money offshore. I cannot afford the taxes that the U.S. is imposing on us now, which, as we know, Biden has already said he's going to increase. That's to me, that's a revealing chart, Mike.
It is. It's great. In fact, I plan to write an article about that article and use that chart with full attribution, of course, to the private wealth banker folks, and really get the word out. I think it's a tremendous article. It's a tremendous chart, and I want to help spread that word. So I'll be putting something out shortly about that too.
It's fantastic, and I want to give people a comparison. Where are you going to invest? You're going to invest in the U.S. or you're going to invest offshore. Can you show us where you are right now, what it looks like where you are right now?
So where I am right now is Granada, Nicaragua. I'm down here with a group of investors who we call them discovery tours. And the thing about a discovery tour that's really important is that it's truly discovery. I think so many people, have heard about, Nicaragua. It's whatever the code red is on the State Department website. Don't go there. You're going to die. I mean, we were laughing about that yesterday in the van with this group of investors, right? I mean, like it's just nonsense, the stuff
Nonsense.
that gets put out there by the State Department on these kinds of things. And by the way, it's political, right? The stuff the State Department puts out is political, right? They have an axe to grind with Nicaragua, so they're going to turn it red, or stage 4 or whatever it's called. I can't remember. Anyway, but the point is that the best thing you can do is actually get on an airplane and come visit not just Nicaragua, any of these countries. Come visit these countries, see it with your own eyes. And I've written some articles. In fact, if perception and reality. I can't remember the exact title, but if folks want to get a copy, they should send me an email, info@ecidevelopment.com. Send me an email and just ask for the article, Perception versus Reality. I think that's what it's called. I'll know what it is. I'll send that article to you guys.
Right.
Because here's the thing, Carter. There's this, again, this is where the high net worth individuals, they don't listen to Ted Turner. They don't watch the news, and they don't read the State Department website. They send their accountants. They send their boots on the ground people to these countries to put together reports, or they hire Ernst & Young or McKinsey to do it for them, or whatever they do, right? But they put real people on the ground in real places. They don't listen to this, nonsense stuff. What is it really like? And the big money, the high net worth individuals, the funds, people like that, they largely ignore that kind of stuff, which is why they have the territory to themselves, right? They have the territory to themselves. And so we've been down here for 26 years, and we understand it. We're in 5 countries now, right? I'm actually in Nicaragua. So let me just show you. This is Granada, Nicaragua. This is the central square behind me. That is the big cathedral. And let's see here. There are some horses. Yeah, we have some horse-drawn carriages that trot around the city. This is the hotel I'm in. This is the Hotel Plaza Cologne, spectacular 4-star hotel right on the plaza. And I think I'm paying like $120 a night for this 4-star hotel. Nice,
Incredible.
Beautiful breakfast buffet included. I mean, $120 a night, right? Anyway, so
Mike, you showed us where you are, the view out your window.
Yeah.
Now, folks, remember, this is all about investing. So you just saw what you can invest in Nicaragua. Here's the view out my window. Honest to God, folks, this is a real picture I took because I figured this was going to come out my window in York, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
That's the garage across the street from me. The home it's attached to is just as bad, and I live in one of the nicer neighborhoods in the damn city. So where are you going to invest, folks? Where are you going? I do like these people, and like Mike Cobb, if I were you. Offshore. And Mike, let me say about the State Department. The State Department's budget is $80 billion a year, okay, to pay the bureaucrats there. Now, how do they get the money for that? Well, folks, your tax dollars. How do they make sure your tax dollars stay here? They scare the hell out of you about any other country in the world. I mean, Nicaragua has a lower murder rate than the United States.
Yeah. No, right. The facts, and that's the whole thing in that article, right? The article is, the old saying, don't confuse me with the facts, right? Yeah. And so the difference between perception and reality, and the example I use at the first part of the article is, flying it depends on how you measure it, but like flying is about 200 times safer than driving. And it's even in some measurements, it's in the thousands of times more, number of deaths per year by car, 50,000 in the US, number of deaths in an airplane, like, I don't know, not many, on average, maybe 50, right? So, 50,000 versus 50, right? It's 1,000 times difference. Right. Deaths by airplane, deaths by cars. But yet people feel so afraid of flying. I mean, they're just petrified to get on an airplane, yet they have no problem getting in their car, texting while they're driving one-handed with their knee. Maybe they're driving with their knee, whatever, right? And on the way to the airport, not worried about that at all. But then when they get on the airplane, right? Yeah. And
White
so
knuckles.
The difference between perception and reality is money, Carter. It's money. In the Wall Street world, they call it arbitrage. The difference between what's known and what's not known, or between what's known and what's perceived, right? Right, the facts and the perception, right? That's arbitrage. And when you come to this part of the world and you see it with your own eyes, and all of a sudden you can look at the facts. Like we were, I mean, like I said, we were joking about this being so dangerous yesterday with this group and whatever. And we walked down to the lake and back last night. And I mean, it's just not true. And when you see that with your own eyes, you go, oh my gosh, I get it. I see this gap, this giant gap, and that gap is money. And so, my biggest urge to people is to just simply buy a plane ticket, go to Belize, go to Nicaragua, go to Costa Rica, go to Panama, go to El Salvador, right? Get on an airplane and visit for 3, 4, 5 days. Pick your time, right? And let's just say that's $2,000, right? $2,000, $2,500. Pick a number, whatever.
Yeah.
That will be the single best investment you've ever made in your entire life, because that investment, $2,500, whatever, will lead to great investments, because you're seeing this gap, this arbitrage between what's perceived and what's real. And look, and the other analogy is time machine, right? That I like to talk about. And we talked about that the other day. But again, if you just look at what's happened in Cancun over the last 50 years, if you said, my God, I wish I could go back 50 years and buy a condo in Cancun. Like, I mean, who wouldn't? I would. I'd buy 10 of them or something, right? I mean, right? And if you look at Belize, Ambergris Caye today, which is just now getting its very first branded hotels. There's a Curio by Hilton. There's an Autograph by Marriott. Our company has the Best Western franchise that's up and running. 54 Best Western condos. We're building the next building right now. We have the Marriott franchise for a Marriott resort and residences on the water that's in development. So again, we're just at this cuspy place in Belize where there's, where it's probably like Cancun, not 50 years ago. It's probably like Cancun, 20, 25 years ago in terms of that, that switch over. And so right. If you had a time machine, Carter, would you go back 20, 25 years to Cancun and buy a condo?
Absolutely.
I hope you would.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And I would buy in Belize now. And I'll tell you where else I would buy because of you, Mike. Here's where else I would buy. I would invest in Honduras. Now, some people might say that's a little bit of a stretch, but let me tell you why I say that. Because you just did. The Offshore Investment Oracle, for the first time, 6 months ago, right? 6, 8 months invested in Honduras.
8 months, maybe 8 months. Yeah.
8 months
last summer.
Building the reefs development about 10 miles away from La Ceiba, folks. That tells you, folks, follow the money. You see where the smart money's going, and then you invest. This gentleman is the smart money. Mike, that's absolute. Everywhere you've invested, the curve has gone up. Am I right?
Yeah, well, and sometimes faster, sometimes slower, right? And a lot of it does have to do with economic times, right? I mean, things are, the world events influence things. But coming back to this article, and I've got to jump off in a minute and go get my ride back to Grand Pacifica. They're going to come pick me up in a few minutes.
Grand Pacifica, right there, folks. Invest there.
Yeah.
Invest there.
Yeah. But coming back to this article, Carter, world events really do determine what happens in any of these countries. I mean, in the United States or Nicaragua, Belize, Panama, whatever. And so we need to pay attention to those, but we also need to seize the opportunities when they present themselves. And with this fear of inflation, stagflation, all of that happening, this is the time to seize the opportunity with the big money. You're not going to get ahead of the big money. I can tell you, big money's already figured this stuff out, right? But you want to be with the big money, right? You want to be with them, and it's happening. You saw the chart. So this is the time. Right now is the time to roll with the big money, and just imagine how happy you'll be if you do that.
It's fantastic. It's all there, folks. Here's the picture. See the boat heading offshore to the big money Mike just mentioned from that article. Mike, I know you got to run.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time out from the Discovery Tour to join us, to go over this with us. This is major, folks. This is where the smart money is going, and smart folks follow the smart money. Right? That's it.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you.
All right, Carter, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for joining us. There you go, folks. So you have a choice. You have a choice. You can invest in somewhere like this, which is over in Grand Pacifica, okay? Cozy Homes at Grand Pacifica, or you can leave your money in the U.S. where it's going to invest in something like that. Kind of an easy choice, folks. Offshore investment. Follow Mike Cobb's lead, the Offshore Investment Oracle. Let's do this thing.